To be honest, I never really got on with the Smart Hashtag 1. I thought it was a bit too cutesy, a bit too cheeky, a bit too form over function. It was trying to be the EV equivalent of the new Mini. But now there's a new car in the Smart lineup, which is very much my wavelength. Here it is, the Smart Hashtag 3. Can I please call it the 3 and not the hashtag 3? I am not Gen Z enough to just say hashtag unironically. Okay, fine. This is the Smart Hashtag 3. I am hashtag Jim. This is hashtag Carlist. Hashtag like, hashtag watch, and hashtag subscribe, hashtag comment. Hashtag roll the intro. So, what is the 3? Look, I've said hashtag enough, okay? I'm done. Well, if you add 2 plus 1, you get 21.
You stupid.
They're not.
What's 9 plus 10?
21.
You
So from what I can tell, the 3 is a lot like the 1, but more. And it does feel like it has had more time in the oven. Got 3 variants too, just like the hashtag 1. Pro, Premium, BRABUS. But interestingly, both models are priced quite identically. I'm not quite sure I get why either. Under the skin though, it's very, very similar. In fact, they share the exact same platform, the SAE platform, as the Smart 1, as the Volvo EX30, the Zeekr X, but with the 3, they've elongated the car. So a larger car overall, longer definitely, and they've given it this nice sloping coupe roofline and a hatchback. Overall, I think this is a really good looking car. So the hashtag 1 is a trendy, kind of friendly looking city hatch, but the hashtag 3 has that build, those shoulders. This thing can lurk in the corner, waiting to beat you up. Tell you what though, it won't be very well hidden in this color, Photon Orange. Just one letter away from Proton. You're just right there, you're almost there on the edge. Personally, my favorite is the Meta Black body color with the red roof option. Stealth, with a little bit of lipstick, kind of like Scarlett Jo as Black Widow. It does have the same general visual as the hashtag 1, the Smart 1, because this CyberSpark LEDs, gotta say that with the Optimus Prime voice, CyberSpark. LEDs over here with this light bar to connect the two. Although the differentiator over here is this kind of bonnet intake slat, which actually is completely filled in, goes nowhere. Besides, it's going to go to what? It's an EV. And it does match that with, again, like the Smart 1, the sort of frowny face, hexagonal lower grille, and this air intake to the side, which actually feeds in to the front wheel well. Quite large 20-inch alloys too. They call this the Synchro design. To me, it looks like a normal 5-spoke wheel. Shod in Continental Eco Contact 6Q tires. Interesting choice for a car that can do 0 to 100 in 3.7 seconds. Red brake calipers too, which in this context reminds me of the J-Coups and the Cherries, because they also like to have red brake calipers. And next to it you find is BRABUS logo hidden away. Nice little detail. It doesn't do too much to shout about the BRABUS Association, but it kind of makes you wonder how much involvement they had in this variant, or is it just purely marketing? I think it's marketing, sadly. Smart has had this long-standing partnership with BRABUS, but I went on their website and the first thing that I saw shown to me was fashion. They've got an extensive merch line, guys, and I felt sad. I think the rear end of the car is actually my favorite angle of all because it looks really, really nice. Combination of coupe with station wagon and hatchback all kind of rolled into one very tight visual itself. Very, very cool. There's even a BRABUS logo over here, not quite as Easter eggy as one in front. What is Easter eggy is the boot release button. It's hidden away in the A of the Smart lettering over here. So the A opens up to a 370-liter boot, which I got to admit is not that much. You could fall down the seats to expand that to 1,160 liters, but that isn't especially big either. Still, it's very practical, definitely more space than the hashtag 1 and the Volvo EX30. Does it frunk though? Well, yeah, it does, but not by much. In my estimation, maybe you can fit about 12 oranges in here, this very orange car. BRABUS, as far as I can tell, is just smart speak for go fast, and it does, but it does do so in quite a familiar way because it's an EV. If you want to performance it, you add more than one motor. As far as I know, it has the exact same 2 motors and the exact same outputs as the Volvo EX30 twin motor, and guess what? The Smart hashtag 1 BRABUS. Of the 2 battery options, you get the 49 kilowatt hour in the Pro, and the Premium and the BRABUS, like the Smart hashtag 1, again, uses the 66 kilowatt hour battery, which actually isn't very big at all, to produce, in this case, 428 PS and 543 Newton meters combined. but it does take a hit on range. The extra power consumption giving a WLTP range of 415 kilometers, slightly better than the one Brabus's WLTP range of 400 kilometers, mostly because of the 3's pretty privilege, sleeker, more aerodynamic body. Charging does come in AC and DC forms, of course, but its AC game is a little bit lacking. Just like the BYD Seal, and honestly, a lot of EVs from China, the Entry Pro gets a 7.4 kilowatt onboard charger. But the Premium and the Brabus get an onboard charger for AC charging of 22 kilowatts, quite a rare thing to find actually. So if you find yourself at an AC charger of 22 kilowatts, 10% to 80% is only 3 hours. And across the board, it supports a DC charging rate of 150 kilowatts, so 10% to 80% in about half an hour. Now, this interior, it's kind of a mixture of questionable decisions and really cool touches. Big Brabus on the headrest over here, on the steering wheel itself, plenty of red stitching as well to remind you of that, the same kind of shade as the Brabus logo. There's a nice mixture of materials here. You have the red stitching, like I said, leatherette, and this sort of microfiber with perforations to reveal red underneath those perforations. Also, red seat belts. You get these in a Porsche, you gotta pay like 10,000 ringgit. Also, you have a lot of Mercedes-Benz touches that I think you can't ignore. Over here, these 3 air conditioning vents, they look a lot like the AMG GT, the previous gen AMG GT's placement as well. And this entire like center tunnel reminds me a lot of what Mercedes-Benz is doing now with the C-Class. Storage-wise, you do get quite a lot of it. This opens up. Center cubby is nice and ventilated. Cool air going in from the center tunnel over here. Keep your candy or whatever, nice and big. Opens up. 2 reveal cup holders, one bigger one and one, okay, fits. And your phone can live over here as well, quite nice. And this thing opens up, nice and damped, 2 USB-C ports and a wireless charger. But what do you think about the whole vibe of this interior? Is it a luxury car? Is it a premium car? Does it give you that feeling that you're in something a bit more special? I think it's about there, okay? The thing is about Mercedes-Benz, I don't like their whole move these days to actually finishing things off with plastic. Even though they kind of make it look like metal, you can tell it isn't. And you just get things like this, okay? You put your weight onto certain parts of the car and it creaks. And that just gives you a little bit of a sense that this car isn't as upmarket as it should be. But there are little nice touches though, okay? Because thoughtfully, they've put this like leather material that extends from the dashboard onto the side of the center tunnel, so your knees don't bash into the sides. You also get a nice felt material that is kind of like on the sides of the seat belt hook, so it doesn't bash up against the plastic of the center tunnel and make noise. Very nice touch. And there are these metallic bolts, many of them on the seats, front and back, and they're actually the Smart logo sort of engraved onto it. I thought it would be too gimmicky and too uncomfortable if I could feel them as I'm sitting down, but I can't feel them at all. And over time I thought like, this is pretty cool. And of course you get to the centerpiece, which is this big 12.8-inch touchscreen, which is companionized with this 10-point-something-inch driver's display. It's a lot of things going on, it's very busy. You have this cheetah avatar, which is basically the voice assistant. So I'm not even going to try and get it to work. And then you have this globe in the middle of it, which is supposed to be navigation. You can have shortcuts for navigation, charging stations, parking lots. To the side, you have media playback, but thank God it has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Everything is piped through. Even the cutesy Candy Crush game sounds are going to be piped in through a 13-speaker Beats sound system, which I thought I wouldn't like because they're way too bassy. But the Beats system in this car is really nice. A lot of punch, a lot of mid-range, and you can tune the settings to be quite balanced as well. The interesting thing is there are more speakers in the back than there are at the front. There's a driver over here by the door, another one over here by the roof, another one over here, and tweeters as well by the door. So 6 speakers in total for the rear passengers. You know what? There is more space than the Smart #1. I would like a bit more thigh support because the floor is a bit high. The seat backs themselves do have quite a nice recline. I could actually just get in the habit of taking a nap in the back of the Smart #3. The thing is, this roof. This roof is really overwhelming. They have a glass roof with no sunroof function, so you can't open it up to get more fresh air in, but you're stuck with the sun kind of blaring down on your face. So it is hard, even though you want to take a nap, you have the sun in your eye. And the thing is, the heat actually transfers. There's a bit of a tint on this glass roof, but I put my hand off. Yeah, it's a really, really hot roof. You can feel the heat coming off from the sun. It's about 1 p.m. now. I can definitely feel it. Elsewhere though, it is comfortable. Amenities are plenty. You have air conditioning vents down here. Nice adjustable headrest, center, armrest, nothing really special. It does fit a bottle over here, and a big bottle can go into the door pocket. You have buttons down here for driving mode, and the thing is, you press this, a lot of beeps and bongs and sounds going on. But when it comes to controlling things like the climate control, you have to access things from the screen. If you are in Apple CarPlay, you don't really have easy access to it. You have to swipe up. Thankfully that does work. Brings you to the air climate control screen menu, and you adjust everything via the on-screen functions, which I would say it's just not as slick and as intuitive and as useful as just having physical buttons. Why are all EVs like this? The thing is though, this car is quite annoying in the sense that it has a lot of ADAS functionality. The car icon pulls up the settings menu. Every single time I get into this car, I have to go through a little ritual, okay? Because it has a lot of driving assistance functions. And the thing is, they reset every single time you get into the car. So every time I get to the car, I have to turn it back off again. And if I forget, it's really annoying, especially down here, okay? Lane departure warning. It always tries to tug at my steering wheel whenever I wander from dead center of a lane. Have to turn it off, it becomes too annoying. Lane assist as well. Don't do that to me, please. And over in the assistance tab, speed limit and active speed limit warning. And it always beeps at me if I exceed it. And it's a long, protracted beep. It's so annoying. There's a whole ritual to actually using this car without it getting on your nerves, which I think they could patch out with a software update, but they haven't yet. And I wonder, does this also apply to the #1? Because if it's annoying to the #1 and the #1 has been around for a while, it should be fixed in this car. So the Smart #1, smaller car, this is a bigger car, but somehow the Smart #1 is 3.9 seconds 0 to 100. This car with the exact same two motors, the exact same power and torque, is faster at 3.7 seconds. Not sure how the math works out, but let's give it a shot. So, BRABUS mode on, rocket launch mode on, foot to the floor, and break off. Oh! Hurts. 3.77 seconds. Yeah, I guess the math adds up. Shows what I know. You know what? All this rapid acceleration stuff kind of hurts. Having all the blood pulled to the back of your body. Not good for you. Anyway, the first thing to know about the Smart #3 is that pulling away feels a lot like a Mercedes-Benz, because the gear selector is on the stalk, okay? So you push it down, go into drive, and then you just pull off. Of course, other EVs have this feature too, like the Tesla before they went all weird and have the gear selector appear on screen to slide up and slide down. At slow speeds, there's not much to say. This is a very comfortable car to drive. It's actually quite softly sprung. It's tuned for comfort. This suspension is tuned for comfort, but there's not a lot of body roll. So you get a sense that this is quite a taut chassis, you know? And the fact that this car doesn't have the ground clearance quite, it's like 20 centimeters, or 20 millimeters less off the ground than a Smart #1. It's the same comment that I had about a Peugeot 408, is that, look, if you had this car, but lower, if it wasn't trying so hard to be a crossover that no one really wants, it could be a very good looking car. It could have a very nice planted look on the ground. Why have the wheel gap in the first place? You're not taking the BRABUS, something called a BRABUS, something called the Smart #3 BRABUS looking like the way it does. You're not going to take it off-road, even on grassy surfaces. Why even bother? Why can't you just make this low and look good? It encourages you more to sit low and kind of drive it a certain way. You see all the red stitching and the BRABUS logo over here, and you get into a space where you're like, maybe I can drive this more excitedly, more spiritedly. And then, you put your foot down a little bit. More fake engine noise, or whatever that is, and you're up to speed. up to speed very quickly. There was over the speed limit already so easily. Point to point, this car feels like a really solid option. This does have a speed cap though, so the top speed is limited to 180 kilometers per hour, which is fast enough in an EV. And besides, with this 66 kilowatt hour battery, you don't want to get too fast or go too fast for too long because it can deplete your reserves quite fast. And I bring up the Volvo XC30 now because that car, again, has the same platform, has the same two motors, and if not the exact same power output, very, very similar power and torque output. So it's, for all intents and purposes, the exact same car. But in the Volvo, the twin performance version, you can actually deactivate the front motor and run entirely on the rear-wheel drive motor only, and that should save you a lot of juice. And you can't do that in the Smart, in either Smart, the hashtag 1 and hashtag 3. Not sure why, because that doesn't seem like a difficult thing to do. If it was already built in to not the chassis, but the systems to deactivate the front motor, why can't that be available across the range of all the cars that are built with this platform, with the same motors, with the same electronics and the systems built into this car? It seems like a no-brainer, but for some reason Volvo has kind of called dibs on that one. I can't see this car being anything but the Smart one, but better in the ways that I want it to be better. It drives better because it's lower to the ground. It looks a certain way. You sit in this car a certain way, and it kind of gives you this feedback that it does want to be treated a little bit more like a hot hatch, a little bit more like a hot wagon-ish type car, not a crossover. That was the sense when I was driving the Smart 1. But in terms of how it is set up, this car might be exactly the same as the Smart 1, the same exact suspension tuning, or very, very similar, because as I go over bumps, if it wasn't for the big 20-inch wheels, I wouldn't really feel uncomfortable. It's a little bit crashy if you go over certain bumps, but otherwise, going at normal city urban speeds, it's a very calm car. Obviously, it's very silent as well, but over small imperfections, over larger bumps as well, undulations in the road, it is very refined. I just wish that it didn't have this big glass roof, but in addition to having so much heat coming through the glass roof, because we're in Malaysia, there is no shade. I don't know where you can buy a shade. I'm sure there is going to be one somewhere available. You can get one made or something, but there is no reason to have a persistent, unclosable, with no shade glass roof. But what happens when you want to push its buttons, okay? To switch to BRABUS mode, there's literally a touch-sensitive button over here, driving mode. You press that a couple times to go down into BRABUS mode, cycle through the modes. BRABUS mode, okay, what do you have right now? You have a passive suspension system. So no matter what drive mode you're in, you're always gonna get the same general feel. You get more response from the throttle, okay? You get a bit more, it kind of shifts into this more pronounced fake engine noise mode. You get more resistance in the steering wheel, and you get more instant access to performance. It is sort of like, I might catch some flack for this, but it's sort of like a slightly softer, slightly more friendly electric AMG. Sorry if I offend you AMG fans out there, but yeah, I'd say it is above average in terms of driver feel and sharpness. It is relatively rewarding to drive. It does have a certain charm of its own, and it has this certain curb appeal that is reminiscent of an AMG. It's not too shouty, it's not too ostentatious, it's not too, look at me, I'm in your face and I'm sporty. No, it's a little bit more subtle than that. It has that certain charm of an AMG, if you know, you know. Lower, sleeker, edgier, better to drive, and more fully formed than hashtag 1. And right at around the same price as well. Those are all wins for the hashtag 3. Yeah, okay, I'll keep saying hashtag. This BRABUS costs 255,000 ringgit, which is not a bargain. Some say it's a premium car, and yes, I might agree with you, but there is not a lot to make me convinced in the real world, and apart from that tenuous Mercedes-Benz connection, that this is a luxury car. You can think of this car as the CLA shooting brake that Mercedes-Benz won't sell you, and fully electric and with power to match the CLA 45 AMG, the Mercedes-Benz EQA, the BMW iX1, all of which are more expensive than even this top-of-the-line Smart #3 BRABUS. And on style points alone, this takes the cake. It's not even close. This thing is such a head-turner and such a good-looking thing to be seen in. And that's a big deal if you're buying something premium. With its 66 kilowatt-hour battery, admittedly, it won't take you very far. So that means if you're looking for a car that's fun, exciting to look at and to drive, but you won't be going on long road trips, this is pretty good.